Welcome students to another segment of PMR, English Grammar on iTTV. This is your tutor Elizabeth Marshall saying hello. As I said, we'll be doing grammar today and the topic will be the present continuous for future events. To help us along with our lessons, we have 3 students. I will ask them to introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Puvan.
Hello, my name is Nikhil.
Hello, my name is Yurin.
Thank you, students. Now let's begin with our lessons. The present continuous for future events. The present continuous tense is used to talk about action in the present or matters that are going on or taking place now. Yes? Simple enough? Yes. Okay, what's going on now? What's going on? A lot of things are going on just at this moment. You are speaking, I'm teaching, all right? And the future, what does the word future mean? Give me some examples of future. Things that are going to happen in the future. You will be going overseas, yes? That's the future, yes? All right, let's look at some examples before I ask you for examples, yeah? The present continuous tense. Example 1, I am learning how to use the computer. Now the word I am learning tells you that it's happening now and it's also going to be in the future. That's why we say the present continuous tense. Now please pay attention to the example because I'm going to ask you for examples after we've seen some of the examples here. So if you remember, you might want to write or jot down a sentence for me as we are going along in the lesson so that you will be ready to give me an example when I ask you. Example 2, I am practicing my French now. Any of you speak French? No. Learning French? No. Hope to learn in the future?
Yes.
Yes. Right, I hope so. I am practicing my French now. Example number 3, she is checking her email. I'll read that again. She is checking her email. Aren't emails part of your daily experience these days? Yes, we check our emails all the time, not the post box. She is checking, that means she is doing it now. She is checking her email, right? He is writing a check. Example number 4, he is writing a check. Not your experience directly now, but I hope one day, yeah? But by the time you get there, I do not know if it will be checks anymore, or there might be an e-check. Are you aware of the internet service, e-banking and stuff? Yes? Yes, you are. Okay, very good. Example number 5, Dad is starting the car. Dad is starting the car. I'd like to add, it's also not your experience right now, yeah? You don't drive. So Dad is starting the car. The word starting, again, is in the present continuous. That means it is happening now and it's not that he will not start a car ever again, okay? Dad is starting the car. Let's go to another example. James is painting the wall. Is painting, present continuous tense. The bird is building a nest. Building a nest also. Of course, the bird is not human, yeah? It's just a bird, an animal. We're talking about an animal now. So it's the same thing. When they are doing something presently, we say it is in the present continuous tense. We use is building. And the continuous tense is shown by ing, obviously, yeah? The witch is casting a spell. When do you hear of such things? Do we hear of witches just right now? Or is it something that you would have heard in a story, a fable, a fairy tale? Yes? Yes, students? Yes. So in many of the fairy tales that you would have read when you were younger, the witch would cast a spell. All right? So the witch is casting a spell. The word spell is interesting, isn't it? Can it mean many other things? Yes? All right, it can. In English, it can mean another thing, yeah? One is like a jumpy in Malay, yes? But a spell, if I say spell a word, I'm asking you to do something. Yes, okay. Example number 9. The inspector is handling the case. Who can the inspector be? Is this somebody in your movie, or is it somebody in a police station?
Police station.
A police station, exactly. An inspector, an investigation officer. Yes, an inspector is handling the case. Right, some rules for you to remember. Remember these spelling rules. You have to double the last letter for some verbs before you add ing. Now I've got to tell you something about English that you must remember. I find it a language that is sometimes a language that defies logic, because it does not have rules and regulations that apply all the time. All right? It is not something negative about the language. I'm sure this is a language, or many of the languages have similar situations, except that it happens not all the time. That means you might ask, why is it in certain verbs it does not happen? Or why is it that in certain other verbs it does? All right, we have no answers for you. All right, you've just got to learn all the words that this rule applies to, and that's it. And so this is why some of us say grammar is a little difficult. All you need to do is to read and pay attention to reading. Not only your textbooks, you got to read other books outside of your course. Yes, that's a tip for you. So now, again, remember, you have to double the last letter for some verbs before you add ing. Now I'm going to ask you a very simple question for the benefit of our students who are watching us. The word verb. What is the meaning of the word verb? Students, can you help answer that question? Is it an action? Let me help you. Is it an action word? If I said, she is talking, or he is handling the case, where might the verb be?
Talking.
That's right, talking. Now, when we say talking, somebody is doing an action. Talking, speaking, sleeping. All these words are common to you. They've been taught to you from very early on. So you actually know the verb and you use it. It's just that you might not know that it's classified under verbs. But remember it's easier for you to remember it as an action word. It shows some form of an action. Now, the rule again is to double the last letter for some verbs before you add ing. Let's look at the examples. Puvan, can you read the first example for me, please?
Present tense, get. Present continuous tense, getting.
That's good. Get, getting. Let's look at the word get. G-E-T. And so what you're doing there is you're just doubling the T, aren't you? G-E-T-T-I-N-G. Getting. Right? Simple. There's just a 3-letter word there. That's what you're doing. Now, can you do the next one for me, Mikhail?
Present tense, hit. Present continuous tense, hitting.
Right, that's right. Hit, hitting. I'm sure you know what that means. Yes? Hitting. Yodin, can you do that for me, please? The last example there.
Present tense, jog. Present continuous tense, jogging.
Yes, that's good. The verbs are get, hit, jog. And the examples are getting, hitting, jogging. We double the T, we double the T again in the second example, and finally we double the G. Swim, you double the M. Swimming. Stop, stopping. Tap, tapping. They're all verbs, aren't they? Yes. If a verb ends with an E, you usually have to drop the E before you add ing. Again, let me bring your attention to usually have to drop the E. Why does that happen? Because it does not happen all the time. Again, if a verb ends with an E, you usually have to drop the E before you add ing. Examples: the present tense, chase. Present continuous tense, chasing. Cycle, cycling, and drive, driving. So you notice that in chase, C-H-A-S-E, the E has been dropped, which makes it C-H-A-S-I-N-G. Cycle, again the E has been dropped, making it C-Y-C-L-I-N-G, cycling. And finally, for drive, it is D-R-I-V-I-N-G. Is that clear, students? I hope that is very clear. I've given you examples. Yes?
Teacher.
Yes. Okay. Let's now look at a few more. Ride, rise, shake, and shave. Same thing. Riding, rising, shaking, shaving. All right? So remember these words, use them correctly. You have to drop the E. The tip is to commit this to memory now. Do not wait to learn these rules when you're much older. Use them and observe them now. If a verb ends with a single L, you see we've highlighted the word single L, it is doubled in British English but not in American English. Now students, I want you to listen to this very carefully. Not everyone agrees on these rules. What am I talking about? Some of us will say that we have to only write in British English. But what happens is you are exposed to American TV, so you follow that, you tend to follow that. You're also exposed to American books, which will follow American spelling. So you might be confused and you do not know what to do. And sometimes you cannot tell the difference, and that's where the problem is. Now the thing to do is to be conscious of the British spelling, because that is the one that you will have to use in your examination. In your examination, they will look for the British English. So observe that, observe these rules and do that. When you want to use them later on in life, you say, I can't tell the difference. What you need to do is actually use, if you're using British English at the beginning, British style spelling at the beginning, you need to do that throughout. I'm talking about an essay that you write. For instance, when you start with British English, then follow through. Do not mix it up. Alright students, for British English, for instance, if you use C-O-L-O-U-R, in American you would say C-O-L-O-R. Okay, so that is an example, and I have more examples for you. So pay attention and remember that you have to use, if you've decided to use British English, which to a certain extent you don't have a choice in PMR English, then you should follow through. But what would help you is to make note of what is American, what is British. Increasingly, the definitions or the lines are becoming unclear. So one day this rule might not apply to you, but currently it does. So let's now look at some of the examples. Dial. For British, it is dialing, where you observe the rule of the double L. For the American, you just use D-I-A-L-I-N-G. There's no double L. So sometimes your teachers might say, hey, this is wrong or this is right, but you must know what the rule is. Yes? For travel, traveling, T-R-A-V-E-L-L-I-N-G. And for the American is T-R-A-V-E-L-I-N-G. Alright students, let's recap some of the words we use: jogging, hitting, sitting. Now these are short verbs. You remember I told you verbs are action words. So jogging, J-O-G, alright, it's a very short verb, only 3 letters. They have short syllables, alright, that means the sounds, it's just one, hit, one, alright, hitting becomes 2 syllables. But these examples that I've given you, they were just very short. They end with a consonant. Now just to recap, what are consonants? Vowels are A, E, I, O, U. Consonants are all that are not vowels. Alright, so most of this end with a T or a G. They have only one vowel. So in between, for example, hit, H-I-T. The vowel is I. Alright, just to recap, let's look at the next slide. Get. That's a short verb for you. G-E-T. There is only one vowel, which is E in this instance. Alright, and it ends with a consonant, which is a T. Alright, the syllable is normally short or one, which is get, one syllable. Hit, which is one. Jog, which is one. Alright, so just to recap again, just telling you some characteristics of these verbs, which are very short, which has just one vowel in between, which has or normally ends with a consonant. Going back to the present continuous tense, I did mention that it is for future events. Students, look at this sentence. We are leaving for Singapore tomorrow. Of course, you will say continuous tense shows you the words or the phrase are leaving, alright, is actually in the present continuous tense. But which other word over there tells you that it is a future event, that it's not happening now directly, but it's going to happen? Which word there in that sentence?
Tomorrow.
That's right, tomorrow. It shows you that it is for future event. Examples of for future events will be next week, next month, the coming year, the coming century, the coming decade. All of that show you that it is the future event. We are having a barbecue later this evening. We are having a barbecue later this evening. Again, this evening tells you that it is in the future tense. We'll be singing a song at the studio next week. As I gave you the example, next week is for a future event, right? That wraps up our session on the present continuous for future events. Our next topic will be on articles. What are articles? A class of words called determiners. A and the are articles. Again, a and the are articles. These are some of the words you learn to use very early on when you're in your primary years. It's just that now we've got to reinforce and explain to you again the differences. As I said, English, sometimes you do not use the same rule all the way through. There are differences. So let's look at them again. When talking about something, someone definite, and people know which thing or person you mean, you use the before the noun, right? Again, just to recap, a noun is a class of words for places, people and things. So you use the word the to show something in particular. To show something in particular. It's not just any. We are talking about maybe a songbook. We're talking about a particular songbook. We're just not talking about the hundreds or the thousands that are there. We're just talking about one. Let us look at some of the examples. The child is asleep on the bed. You have the word the twice at the beginning of the sentence and towards the end. Yes, we are talking about a particular child, all right? And we are talking about a particular bed. Remember, you might have not realized the weight on this word the, but the is very particular to a thing. The fax phone is ringing. The fax phone is ringing. We're not just talking again about any phone, we're talking about that particular phone, because we use the word the. I have to see the physician today. I have to see the physician today. What's the difference between a physician and a doctor, a GP? All right, sometimes when you are ill, you have a flu, and your parents take you to the doctor. You go to a clinic, yes? You see the GP, general practitioner, right? What's the difference between a physician? Do you know? Or don't you know? Or you're not sure? Not very sure, yes. A physician is a person you would go to if you had to look after your general health, right? Which is in the case that you have diabetes or you have asthma, all right? You would go to a physician as opposed to a GP. A GP would be a doctor who is not a specialist, Alright, so this is a physician. I have to see the physician today. When I say I have to see the physician today, am I talking about a particular physician with a particular name? Yes, right? I repeat, the is to particular. Now, this is a tricky rule here. The E in the has a short sound before words beginning with a consonant, like the words on the next slide. The cupboard, the nurse, the sitting room. Yes? The. It's short. Sometimes the same word has a different sort of a pronunciation for the word the or the. When do you use it? When you use the words before words begins with a vowel, it has a different sound. When you use the before words beginning with a vowel, it has a different sound. You say it with a long E. You say it with a long E, like the sound in me. Alright? This is what you call phonics. Alright? Sometimes you are not very clear, but the teachers are taught this. Alright? Phonics, like the sound in me. Is it the same as in the? No. The is short. The E is very short. This one is me or B or T. Isn't it longer? You drag it. You like. So they're talking about the Alright? Now it is a bit difficult when you're reading a book, for instance. Alright? Unless you already know what the writer is saying, you would not know when to use the or when to use the. Because on the page it is spelled the same. There's no symbol there to tell you exactly what to do. So you've got to follow the rules. Beginning with a vowel. When the word begins with a vowel. What is a vowel? Can somebody tell me what is a vowel? Okay. Yes. Nikhil. Yes.
A-E-I-O-U.
Exactly. You did? Yes. That's A-E-I-O-U. Yeah. So any of those words, then you start with a the. Right? The umbrella. Yes. The exit. The apple. Alright? The apple. The igloo. The other hand. Bhuvan, can you just read that out with the correct the for me?
The igloo. The other hand.
The other hand. This brings us to the end of our lesson. Thank you, students, for being here and making the lesson very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, teacher.
Sure.
We've come to the end of our segment on grammar, and this is Elizabeth Marshall from iTTV saying goodbye.